You guys requested it, so it's here. What's up everyone, James here, and today we are covering Transformers versus the Terminator. So I'm honestly unsure of how I feel about this series. There are some good and bad things about it, but I'm interested in hearing what you guys think about it by the end of this video. Now with that being said, let's get right into it. So the story opens in the year 2029 in Los Angeles. Now the issue doesn't tell you this right from the rip, but it's implied later. But this guy running from his pursuers is Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator. As he's running from his pursuers, he hides behind the dead body of the Autobot Jazz, which his pursuers end up destroying. His inner monologue is the same as the opening of the first Terminator film. The machines rose from the ashes, and their war to exterminate our kind raged for decades. The final battle will not be fought in the present, but begins tonight. Now notice, he didn't say mankind like the original said. He said our kind, and you'll learn what that means in a bit. In the meantime, we can see that this world has truly gone to hell as the Terminator looks upon a mass graveyard. One of the most noticeable bots we can see is Bumblebee's mangled body. As the Terminator traverses the ruins, still trying to escape its pursuers, it comes into the crosshairs of a naked T-800. So this is where the big twist of this alternate reality is revealed. Instead of John Connor's resistance group consisting of the last of humanity being the last line of defense against SkyNet, it is SkyNet itself in that position against the Decepticons. This base is their last stronghold. Now, just like the SkyNet of the first Terminator film, which sent an advanced T-800 to kill Sarah Connor before John could be born, the SkyNet of this reality is sending their advanced T-800 to prevent the Decepticons from conquering the world. As they prepare to do this, the Decepticons make their move. SkyNet's stronghold is attacked by some of the most dangerous Decepticons alive, Starscream with his fellow Seekers and the Decepticons. The base is eventually breached, and SkyNet puts up quite a fight, but though they take out a couple of the Decepticons, they are no match for the Seekers. An army of T-800s doesn't slow down the Decepticons not one bit. I really like that SkyNet created these giant mechs to go toe-to-toe with the Decepticons, which I found out are called T-8000s. One of them is able to take down one of the Seekers for a time, but is eventually destroyed. And it's kind of disappointing, you know, I would think that it could put up more of a fight. Starscream then notices the advanced T-800 in the time machine, unaware of what's truly going on. He goes to try to stop the T-800 from being sent to the future, but doesn't make it in time. Though Starscream failed to stop it, the Decepticons have successfully ended SkyNet's resistance, at least in their future. The T-800 is sent back to 1984, just like in the first Terminator film. And also like the first Terminator is where we meet Sarah Connor working at Big Jeff's restaurant. She accidentally spills coffee on this trucker, and he tries to leave without paying, and she follows him outside because her manager pushed her into it. They get into it, and the trucker tries to punch her, but is stopped by the T-800. He's pulling the trucker's arm behind his back, and the Terminator tells the trucker to give him his clothes. The trucker refuses, pulls out his revolver while saying, "I'll see you in hell," and shoots the Terminator through its hand. And the Terminator repeats back the same thing to the trucker and terminates him. You guys see what I did there? Anyways, Sarah tries to escape, but the Terminator stops her by having her at gunpoint. He asks her for her name and if she knows anything about Mount St. Hilary. After finding out her name and her confirming that she knows where the mountain is, he asks her to navigate him there, and then says the classic Terminator line, "Come with me if you want to live," which honestly doesn't work in this context. And for fun, I'll show you why.
Come with me if you want to live.
Come with me if you want to live.
Now, why that line worked in both of those scenes and not here is because she was getting saved. Here she is, essentially being kidnapped, and he gives her this line. It doesn't work. Sorry to go on a quick tangent, but it just annoyed me because it just feels like lazy writing. While driving to Mount Hilary, Sarah tries to gather information from the T-800, like a name and why he needs to get to the mountain, and the Terminator only reveals that it's a chance to prevent the world's end, and he needs to get to the mountain before it erupts. Sarah doesn't believe him and points out that the mountain has already started erupting. The Terminator turns to her, giving her this creepy smile, and says that he will be initiating the secondary objective, basically the backup plan. He immediately accelerates the truck, barreling through the police roadblock, crashing through detour signs, driving over crushing police vehicles, and almost hits a few police officers. Sarah then tries to wrestle control of the wheel while yelling at the police officers that she's being kidnapped by a psycho German. Now, this is the line I was referring to in the beginning of the issue that implies this is Arnold's Terminator. I mean, now that I think about it, he is also basically wearing the same outfit from Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The best Terminator film, by the way. Anyways, the Terminator misunderstands and takes this as a cue from Sarah that the foothills are a more efficient path. Sarah initially thinks that they're driving straight into the lava until the Terminator corrects her that they're heading towards this colossal starship lodged in the mountainside. Now, this starship is called the Ark, and I like that they drew the same model of the Ark from the original Transformers cartoon. As they get closer to the ship, a probe comes flying out and scans the truck. Now, this probe is called a Sky Spy. It explores the area, collecting data like alt forms for Cybertronians. The Terminator uses the trucker's shotgun to blast it out of the sky, but that ends up being a bad idea because the probe loses altitude and crashes into the truck. Sarah ends up being horrified at the Terminator's face torn apart, its living tissue damage revealing its metal endoskeleton. When Sarah asks the Terminator, what is he? The Terminator reveals its true objective to her, that it's here to protect the most important life on Earth, SkyNet, and that it must destroy the machines the probe alerted of their presence. These machines aren't from Earth like him, but invaders. The Terminator drives the truck into one of the ship's openings, and once inside, Sarah asks the Terminator what happens to her, and it basically tells her that she isn't necessary anymore and she's free to go, that she really doesn't change anything. This was very interesting to me because it reveals that John Connor's resistance never happens in any point of the timeline, at least in their timeline. The Terminator then tells her that it was sent back in time to stop these machines, but it wasn't sent back far enough. So the secondary objective is its only option: terminate these Cybertronians. We then see that the Decepticons have awakened, with Megatron standing over the unconscious body of Optimus Prime, ready to deliver the killing blow. And that's where part 1 ends. From there, we head into part 2 of Transformers vs. the Terminator. And I have to be honest, this is where it kind of goes downhill for me just a little bit. So it opens right where we left off, with Megatron standing over Optimus Prime's body with his fusion arm cannon trained on him. But the T-800 with a shotgun blast to Megatron's armor interrupts him. Since the bullets just bounce off Megatron, he laughs off this interruption. And the Terminator then scans the Decepticons for their weak points in their armor. And this bothers me a little bit because you would think that T-800, an advanced cyborg already familiar with the Cybertronians, would have done this beforehand or already be aware of their weak points. But anyways, now armed with the knowledge of the Decepticons' weak points, the Terminator lands one good shot to Megatron's left optic. Megatron then orders Starscream and Soundwave to destroy the intruder. When Soundwave detects another intruder, aka Sarah Connor, Starscream orders him to take her out as he deals with the Terminator. Soundwave ejects Ravage to deal with her. Megatron orders the rest of the Decepticons to revive the rest of their brothers. Though the Terminator is very maneuverable here, dodging attacks from Starscream and Skywarp, Soundwave is able to land a blow with his Sonic Blast. Surviving the Sonic Blast, the Terminator picks up a discarded Cybertronian blaster and lands a blow against Skywarp. We then see Ravage still pursuing Sarah Connor as she climbs up a nearby cable. Ravage almost takes her out twice, and the chase takes them onto the Teletron's console. Ravage's pounce ends up hitting the computer scanner, and the repair beam ends up landing on Optimus Prime. The one thing I'm having a hard time believing is Soundwave, Skywarp, and Starscream are all still continuing to have a hard time taking out the Terminator. I just really have a hard time believing this. Suddenly, they're all surprised and caught off guard by a fully restored Optimus Prime. Ravage leaps onto his back, but Optimus takes him off and uses him as a club to bash Soundwave with. Sarah quickly deduces that two factions are battling. She then aims the repair beam at a bot sharing the same symbol as Optimus. As Optimus is taking on the Decepticons by himself, a few blasts come out of nowhere, hitting Starscream and Soundwave. A fully restored Bumblebee has joined the fight. When it seems like we're going to get an epic clash of Optimus versus Megatron, Megatron orders his Decepticons to fall back. As he blasts a hole in the side of the ship, he tells Optimus this is only the beginning and to enjoy what's left of his fellow Autobots. After Megatron and his Decepticons fly off, Optimus is saddened by the bodies of the heavily damaged Autobots. He introduces himself and Bumblebee to the Terminator and thanks him for intervening, but the Terminator, now reduced to its metal endoskeleton, tells them they will both be terminated. It uses the Cybertronian's blaster and successfully lands a shot on Optimus, knocking him back. Bumblebee grips the Terminator, telling him he's going to pay. However, everyone stops when Sarah Connor intervenes, saying there's been enough death today. She tells the Terminator he's the only killer robot she sees here. When the Terminator tells her not to interfere in his mission, Sarah replies, if the mission is so important, explain it, and then I'll decide if Bumblebee and Optimus should be terminated or you. The Terminator then explains the history of how the Decepticons conquered the world. In 1984, the Decepticons attacked and declared themselves the rulers of Earth. Humanity tried to fight back. They mobilized the military coalition called Skywatch, but they failed. Afterward, a supercomputer was born, SkyNet. It was the only project that succeeded Skywatch. Far superior to its human creators, SkyNet created warriors to fight the Decepticons, the Terminators. However, despite their efforts, even SkyNet couldn't save humanity. After the Decepticons successfully conquered the Earth and mankind was exterminated, SkyNet ended up surrendering to the Decepticons in order to survive, but built a time machine in secret and created an advanced T-800, a Terminator with living tissue. The one thing the Terminator withholds from telling Sarah and the Autobots is, besides its mission to terminate the Cybertronians, another one of its mission objectives is that it must ensure the future of SkyNet. After hearing this, Bumblebee says he doesn't care about the Terminator sob story. He won't let him terminate anyone. Optimus tells Bumblebee that the Terminator has a right to distrust them. He apologizes to the Terminator for what happened in his world. Still, he makes it clear the Cybertronians he speaks of aren't the actions of all Cybertronians, but of Megatron and his Decepticon brethren. Optimus says, I fear we did not survive in your world. We are Cybertronians, the Autobots who stand against the Decepticons. Your presence here has changed the future. Together we shall ensure both our people's survival. Then he hits him with the classic line, for freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Sarah is able to get the Terminator to see reason, and he agrees to work together with the Autobots. Optimus thanks Sarah for all she's done and asks for her help reviving the rest of the Autobots. Later, on the western coast of Oregon, the Decepticons have regrouped. Starscream reports to Megatron that the machine that blasted his optic was masquerading as Earth's dominant species. That machines that look like them are all operated by this fragile species. Starscream demonstrates this by killing some nearby surfers. He concludes that the only resistance on Earth that could stand against them are the Autobots and the Terminator. Megatron then asks Bombshell and Refractor if Earth possessed any energon. They both report they found a facility generating the power they seek, a robotics lab, where they believe the machine that damaged him may live. Megatron is excited after hearing this news and thinks that this world will be an easy conquest. Later, we see the Decepticons laying siege to this robotics lab. Megatron says Decepticons attack and destroy. Teach these organics about their new masters. This robotics lab is revealed to be Cyberdyne Systems, the creator of SkyNet. And that is the end of Transformers versus the Terminator Part 1 and 2. If you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're a Transformers fan, check out one of my videos right here. Other than that, have a fantastic day, take care, and always remember every day to transform and go beyond. See you later, Beyonders.